Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Let us chant one round of japa with Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadharan Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासव गौर भक्तवृंद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता एज इट इज की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam for All session. Let us recite Bhagavad Gita Shloka. We are reciting from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 14, text 27. Oh, it's Saturday morning for you today. Okay. Weekend.
Less people, that's why.
Yes, Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vyayasya cha. See, I'm still bad in this, the end of the Amritasya vyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ikantikasya cha. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Arunita.
Brahmahi pratishtaham.
Brahmano.
Brahmanohi pratishtaham. Amrita tasya yasya cha. Sat sa sa
Shashvatasya.
Sashvatasya cha dharmasya sukha yaksya
Sukasya ekantikasya cha.
sukasya gandhikasya cha. Translation. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, impersonal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, can you explain this little bit? The meaning.
Okay. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Okay, after recitation, I will explain.
Yes.
Yeah. Krishna Shish.
ब्रह्मणो हि प्रतिष्ठाहम् अमृतस्याव्ययस्य च शाश्वतस्य च धर्मस्य सुखस्यैकान्तिकस्य च. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness.
Madhava.
Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ekantikasya cha. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness.
Yes. Nilambri Radha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, may humble obeisances.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Mataji.
Brahmano hi pratishthitam Brahmana hi pratishthitam amritasya swasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasyaika cha
Aikantikasya cha.
Sukhasyayantikasya cha.
Sukhasya aikantikasya cha.
Sukhashaikantikasya cha. Okay, thank you, Mataji. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. I'll also recite Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 27. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ikantikasya cha. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So Mataji asked me to explain this, Aditya Mataji.
Especially this is confusing, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness the impersonal Brahman they're explaining, or Krishna?
Impersonal Brahman only. Okay. So you don't have a problem with the words, right? It's just how it is. So you're asking.
Yes, the explanation, the meaning of the translation.
Okay, just of the translation. So how is it? So basically here, dharmasya, dharma means just like you say, what is the dharma of sugar? Sweetness, right? So that means what is the constitutional characteristic feature? Basically, dharma means it's the characteristic feature of a particular thing. So similarly, what is the characteristic feature of ultimate happiness? Or in other words, you have different types of happiness. What is the ultimate happiness? Where can you find the ultimate happiness? You get happiness from material enjoyment also. You get happiness from different things, right? But what is the ultimate type of happiness? Ultimate happiness is experienced on which platform? It is experienced on the platform of Brahman. What is the platform of Brahman? So, absolute truth is realized, in three phases: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So, what do you understand by Brahman platform? Even before realizing Brahman, you have to realize that you are not this body or a spirit soul, right? So that is the initial stage of, that's called self-realization. Self-realization means you realize that you're not this body, but you are a spirit soul. But that is not yet Brahman realization. That self-realization happens on the platform of goodness, material goodness. And then you transcend the material goodness, and then you have to realize so for those who are jnanis, yogis and bhaktas, these three look at the same object as three different things, although the object is the same. So the jnani's ultimate goal is Brahman, because they see the absolute truth in the ultimate issue is Brahman. Yogis see in the ultimate issue the absolute truth is Paramatma. And bhaktas see the absolute truth, the last word of absolute truth is Bhagavan, personality of Godhead. But actually it is the same. The object is the same. The object is realized differently according to the distance of the worshipper. One who is far away from the object will only see the Brahman, or they don't see the attributes of Brahman. They just see the effulgence. That is Brahman. So this verse is saying Brahman is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. You have to take it relatively here, because in relation to material happiness,
like in Bhakti Shastri, remember Mataji, I think that when you said that, it reminded me that Brahman is explained in three ways. That's what you are saying, probably. That's what this also implies. That Brahman is the Brahma Jyoti, also Brahman. Brahman is
material energy is also called Brahman. Yeah.
Also Brahman. And what was that, Mataji? And
actually, he gave six. Veer Prashant Prabhu gave six for Brahman in from Bhagavad Gita only, not three. He gave six. Now I'm forgetting the details.
Mataji, can you find it out and let me know, because I really want to remember again about that Brahman later on, whenever you have time.
Yes, I will refer to my Bhakti Shastri notes and I'll let you know.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So here, what Brahman is the ultimate. It's the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So in relation to material happiness, then the material happiness is not ultimate, isn't it? Ultimate happiness is only experienced on the spiritual platform. Srila Prabhupada has given a big purport to this. Maybe I'll just read the purport that might answer your question. The constitution of Brahman is constitution of Brahman. Is immortality, imperishability, eternity, and happiness. Just like, what is the constitution constitution of spirit soul? We say Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Eternity, knowledge, and bliss, isn't it? So like that. The constitution of Brahman is immortality, imperishability. So this Amritasya avyayasya. Amritasya means immortality. There is no death. Brahman has no death. Avyayasya, imperishability, right? There is no decaying. Eternity, Shashvatasya, and Sukhasya. These are the uh, characteristic features or the constitution of Brahman. Brahman is the beginning of transcendental realization. Paramatma, the super soul, is the middle, the second stage in transcendental realization. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate realization of the Absolute Truth. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Person. Yes, they are within the Supreme Person. Just like when you have $100, $10, $50 is there in $100. So if you say Brahman is like $10, Paramatma is like $50, both are there in $100. It is explained in the 7th chapter that material nature is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Lord. Material nature is the manifestation of inferior energy of Supreme Lord. The Lord impregnates the inferior material nature with fragments of the superior nature. What are they? Living entities. And that is the spiritual touch in the material nature. When a living entity, conditioned by this material nature, begins the cultivation of spiritual knowledge. Living entity, conditioned by material nature, begins the cultivation of spiritual knowledge. He elevates himself from the position of material existence and gradually rises up to the Brahman conception of the Supreme. What is that Brahman conception? I'm not this body, but I'm a spirit soul, right? He elevates himself from the position of material existence and gradually rises up to the Brahman conception of the Supreme. This attainment of the Brahman conception of life is the first stage of self-realization. At this stage, the Brahman realized person is transcendental to the material position, but he is not actually perfect in Brahman realization. That's the point, right? Because Brahman realization goes further. There's Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. But in relation to material happiness, material position, then Brahman realization is perfect. But perfect comes in stages. There's perfect, more perfect, most perfect in the spiritual platform, like that. Good, better, best, like that. So if he wants, he can continue to stay in the Brahman position and gradually rise up to Paramatma realization and then to the realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of this in Vedic literature. The 4 Kumaras were situated first in the impersonal Brahman conception of truth, but then they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. One who cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that although a person may rise to the stage of impersonal Brahman without going further with no information of the Supreme Person, his intelligence is not perfectly clear. Therefore, in spite of being raised to the Brahman platform, there is a chance of falling down if one is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic language, it is also said, Raso Vaisaha Rasa Hyevayam Labdvanandi Bhavati. When one understands the personality of Godhead, the reservoir of pleasure, Krishna, he actually becomes transcendentally blissful. Right? When you understand Bhagavan, that's when you become blissful. The Supreme Lord is full in 6 opulences, and when a devotee approaches him, there is an exchange of these 6 opulences. The servant of the king enjoys on an almost equal level with the king. That means if the king eats nice delicacies, then the servant will eat the same thing what the king eats, isn't it? Because he's in the same quarter. So they don't cook separately for the servant, and they cook for the king, and after the king eats whatever is left, the servants eat. So they eat the same things as the king. Same with clothes and all that. So there is an exchange of opulences when one engages in the service of the Supreme. The servant of the king enjoys on an almost equal level with the king, and so eternal happiness, imperishable happiness, and eternal life accompany devotional service. Therefore, realization of Brahman or eternity or imperishability is included in devotional service. You understand now? This is already possessed by a person who's engaged in devotional service. So Brahman's quality is, it is imperishable, it is immortal and eternal. But Brahman is a partial realization of Bhagavan. Brahman is already included in Bhagavan. If one engages in devotional service to Bhagavan, if one realizes Bhagavan, then automatically all the features or whatever you get from Brahman realization, they are included in Bhakti. That's what Srila Prabhupada is saying. So what are the qualities of Brahman? This Sukhasya, Amritasya, Avyayasya, right? So happiness which is imperishable, right? Unending happiness, not flickering happiness of this material world, unending happiness. So that's why when it is said, this Brahman is immortal, imperishable, eternal, and the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. The constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So your question was, ultimate happiness should be in Bhagavan. Why Brahman is called ultimate happiness? Then you should understand that in terms of relatively in relation to material happiness, that is ultimate happiness. But Srila Prabhupada is also qualifying, explaining further that for it's the same absolute truth, but you realize it as Brahman. But Brahman means what? Brahman means the absolute truth. Absolute truth is only one. It's realized differently. So the ultimate happiness is there in Bhagavan. One who engages in devotional service to Bhagavan, to him, ultimate happiness is available, and happiness of Brahman. Brahmananda is also available, and happiness of devotional service is also available. Because Brahman realization is a partial realization of Bhagavan.
And this is also the beginning stage of a person.
Yes, on
and
spiritual path. Yeah.
Yes, but this also gives happiness because it's
Yes.
thing else only. That's what Prabhupada is explaining, right?
And also, of course, so this is in relation to when you say perfect constitutional position of ultimate happiness, that is spiritual happiness, right? It's different from material happiness. Ultimate happiness, here you take it as spiritual happiness. But this happiness is not the same as happiness in devotional service. That also, why we are saying, see, Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of spiritual understanding. The nectar of devotion, such topics, they are like the higher studies. Called its ultimate happiness. So you have to take it relatively. Relative to material happiness, the happiness experienced by Brahman realization is ultimate, but or perfect. But that perfection comes in stages. There's perfect, more perfect, and most perfect. So the bliss experienced in bhakti is perfect, is most perfect, like that.
Thank you, Mataji, for explaining. It's beautiful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so now let's read Srimad Bhagavatam. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1. The Advent of Lord Krishna, Introduction. We were reading, it's 58. Vasudev has decided to hand over all his children born from Devaki to Kamsa. Why? Because he has to save Devaki's life first. So then, smiling, although he's going through so much anxiety, Vasudev puts up a smile on his face and he tries to pacify Kamsa. Then he proposed to Kamsa that, again, flattering, right, glorifying him, oh, best of the sober, right? You don't have to fear anything from Devaki. The Akashwani didn't say that Devaki is going to kill you. Akashwani said that Devaki's child is going to kill you. I'm going to give you all the children of Devaki. So please let her go. Now, this was a very good proposal, like a very liberal proposal for Kamsa, uh, because it was the 8th child that was going to kill, but Vasudeva is offering all children, right? And his Kamsa's fear was only from the 8th child of Devaki. So if Vasudeva is going to give all children, then what's the harm in, and he will be saved from all the previous arguments are still in place, that his reputation will be spoiled, this is against dharma, he's actually incurring sinful reactions, he's risking his future life by committing this sinful activity, so on and so forth. So he will be saved from all that also, right? And win-win. He will still be saved now, and his future is also saved, right? But what was the main reason of Kamsa's accepting Vasudev's proposal? Was he actually calculating all this? We don't know. But the thing was Vasudev's word of honor. Vasudeva was a pure devotee, and even a demon like Kamsa actually believed Vasudev's words. There was no question that after promising, what if Vasudev doesn't keep his word? That was not even a question in Kamsa's mind. This is the position of a Vaishnava, right? Because a Vaishnava never, uh, he's completely trustworthy. That's how a Vaishnava should be. We should not, that is a Vaishnava, right? If you are a Vaishnava, then there is no duplicitousness in his dealings, right? Uh, he is truthful to his word. Whatever he says, he keeps that. Even even demons know this. They also believe Vaishnavas. That is the position of a Vaishnava. So Kamsa agreed, right? Kamsa agreed, and Vasudev was, thanked him. He pacified Kamsa further. He went home, and then after going home each year from then, that year onwards, every year, next year, he had his first son, the following year, the second son. Like this, for 8 years, every year he was having one boy. And then finally, Devaki had one daughter, Subhadra. So what happened when the first son was born? Vasudev uh, did the name giving ceremony, samskara, namakarana samskara, soon, right after birth, because there was not much time. He was to hand over the baby to Kamsa. He had promised he couldn't go back on his word, because if he did, then he would become a liar, right? If you break your promise, you become a liar. And Vasudev was very much afraid, very much disturbed, huh, by the fear of being a liar. It didn't say that he was very much disturbed because he had to give the baby to Kamsa. He was disturbed because of the fear that he may become a liar. He didn't want to become a liar. Why? Because again, Vaishnava will never break dharma. He won't break dharma, right? Lying is adharma. Why would a Vaishnava lie? Of course, we discussed there are some exceptional conditions where one is uh, allowed to lie. But even those concessions a Vaishnava does not use. That means, even though you have a concession where you can break dharma and still you wouldn't get a sinful reaction, right? But Vaishnava's purpose of following dharma is not fear of sin. Normally, people may be following dharma out of fear. Why does a Vaishnava follow dharma? He follows dharma because this is the order of the Lord. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Dharma is given by the Supreme Lord, and he is a devotee of the Lord. How can he go against the Lord's instruction? Out of his love and affection for the Lord, he carries out whatever the Lord says. So if he has an opportunity where he can go against the Lord's word and still not get a sinful reaction, do you think that would attract a Vaishnava? That, oh, I don't get any sinful reaction, so it's okay. in this circumstance, I'll break the law. He wouldn't be attracted to that. He wouldn't do that. Unless it's really an emergency. And what is that emergency? He wouldn't ever do that. So many examples are coming to my mind. Govinda, right? Govinda is the servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is very famous. You heard it so many times. But, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after a kirtan, long kirtan, he was tired. So he just slept at the doorway of his room, Gambhira. In the afternoon, he takes a nap. So he just laid there down. And Govinda would come every day to massage his feet. But Mahaprabhu was sleeping with his head, at the door, at the entrance, and his feet were inside. Now, for Govinda to go and massage the feet of Mahaprabhu, he would have to cross over Mahaprabhu's body, right? Over his body, cross over to get inside. And then he would have to massage the feet. But it's an offense. Can you cross? You don't cross even people. How can you cross the supreme, any living entity? You're not supposed to cross like that. What to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? It's an offense, right? So, but still he went. He crossed and he went. What did he do? He removed his upper cloth, covered the Lord's, because he was tired. First he asked Mahaprabhu, my Lord, please move a little bit so I can go inside. And the Lord said, I'm so tired, I cannot move. You do whatever you like, but I cannot move now. I'm too exhausted to move. So then Govinda took his upper cloth, put it on the Lord's body, crossed his body, went inside and started massaging the feet. And then time passed, 1 hour passed, and whatever time. And then after Mahaprabhu got some rest, he woke up and he saw Govinda is still there. Usually he would massage for some time, and when the Lord would fall asleep, he would get up and go, and he would take his lunch prasadam. But that day, when Mahaprabhu woke up after his sleep, he fell asleep and he woke up also, and Govinda is still sitting there massaging the feet. So Mahaprabhu said, what happened? Why didn't you go to take prasadam? So he said, Govinda said, well, you were on the way. How could I cross and go? So then Mahaprabhu said, but you crossed me and came inside, right? So you could have again crossed me and gone outside. Govinda didn't say anything. He was kind of, ashamed, but he was thinking within his mind. He didn't say anything. What was he thinking? That when he came inside, it was for the Lord's service. That means even if he breaks dharma, it would be for the Lord's sake. That's exactly what Vasudeva was also doing, right? Even like when he said, when he was, smiling to Kamsa and all that. Yes, of course, Srila Prabhupada said about duplicity, right? Being duplicitous, you have to say that, you have to tell lies and so on and so forth. Prabhupada was saying. But for what? So even if that concession is given, that concession also will be used only for the Lord's service to save the Lord's interest, not for personal interest. A Vaishnava would never use it for his, material benefit or for someone else's material benefit. He would never use it. Even if he uses it, it would be only for the Lord's interest, if he at all uses. In general, he will never break dharma. That is to be understood. So Govinda was thinking that when he crossed, it was for the Lord's service. But now when he has to cross and go outside, that would be for his prasadam. That was not acceptable to him. So he did not. He didn't cross the Lord. He just sat there. This is an offense. But for the Lord's sake, I don't mind, even if it is an offense. Not that because I am doing for the Lord's sake, so he will not punish me. I will not get any sinful reaction. That's not a concern. Whether I'll get a sinful reaction or not is a concern. The concern is the Lord's service. The Lord's seva should not stop. So for that he went inside. But coming outside,
example, gopis were willing to give the dust of their feet.
Same. Yes, Mataji. Same. They're willing to give their dust. So like that. So that's the principle here. Let's see. So Vasudev was disturbed by fear of becoming a liar by breaking his promise, right? So he promised to give, uh, so he didn't want to become a liar in this case because that is adharma. Why would he do adharma? Isn't it? So he didn't want to. So he went and although you can imagine, father, newborn son, how painful it is, but still he went and handed over. And also our acharyas explained one more thing, that he was very eager uh, to see. So this is the love of a devotee for Krishna. It is said that the Brajvasis, they loved their children more than any person in this whole world. Any parent can love his or her child. The Brajvasis loved their own children more than any mother or father can love their children in this world. Still, they loved Krishna more than they loved their own children. This is the thing. This is Braja Prema, right? Brajvasi's Prema for Krishna. So like that, and what to speak of Vasudeva? He is the eternal father. So Vasudev, he was very eager to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead appear as his son. So for that, he was willing to bear any pain, one after another. He was having children, knowing that they will be killed by Kamsa, and very, very, and with all that love and affection he had for his children, not that he didn't have, but he went through, accepted all that pain because his love for Krishna was far more than anything else, right? And a devotee is willing to go through any pain, like yesterday we discussed, for the sake of pleasing Krishna, right? They take on any amount of suffering like that. So Vasudeva, in this case, he didn't want to become a liar, so he went and offered the child in Kamsa's hands after the name giving ceremony. So what was the name? Kirtiman. So now the next verse. Who's supposed to read, Mataji, today?
I think yesterday Nilambari Mataji read, no, Pragya and Saujanya Mataji, we also read. So we covered, everyone covered. I think.
Okay, so Inba, Inya, they are not here today, so we'll start with Isha. Kim dussaham nu sadhunam vidusham kim apekshitam kim akaryam kadaryanam dustyajam kim dhritatmanam. Yes, Isha, translation.
What is painful for painful for saintly persons who strictly adhere to the truth? How could there not be independence for pure devotees who know the Supreme Lord as the substance? What deeds are forbidden for persons of the lowest character, and what cannot be given up for the sake of Lord Krishna by those who have fully surrendered at his lotus feet?
Yes. Purport, Krishna Shish.
Since the eighth son of Devaki was to kill Kamsa, one might ask what the need was for Vasudeva to deliver the firstborn child. The answer is that Vasudeva had promised Kamsa that he would deliver all the children born of Devaki. Kamsa, being an asura, did not believe that the eighth child would kill him. He took it for granted that he might be killed by any of the children of Devaki. Vasudeva, therefore, to save Devaki, promised to give Kamsa every child, whether male or female. From another point of view, Vasudeva and Devaki were very pleased when they understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, would come as their eighth son. Vasudeva, a pure devotee of the Lord, was eager to see Krishna appear as his child from the eighth pregnancy of Devaki. Therefore, he wanted to deliver all the children quickly, so that the eighth turn would come and Krishna would appear. He begot one child every year, so that Krishna's turn to appear would come as soon as possible.
Yeah. So, what is painful for saintly persons?
Mataji, Narad Muni came, no? To agitate, to make the process faster, because Kamsa was sparing the baby.
That will come. That didn't happen yet, no?
Okay, because Prabhupada, Prabhupada is
In the
giving.
purport, Prabhupada prepares us for the next one,
Okay.
for the next
Okay,
verse.
okay,
Yeah.
Mataji.
So that is after Vasudev gives the child, Kamsa returns the baby, then Narad Muni comes, like that. Okay. What is painful for saintly persons who strictly adhere to the truth? How could there not be independence for pure devotees who know the Supreme Lord as the substance? This is actually a very nice, important verse. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives such a nice uh, commentary on this verse. You know, when we studied the course, Sri Krishna Janmalila, I had studied it. I didn't get a chance to actually go over that notes. I don't know where I've written it, but this is a wonderful verse here. Kim dussaham nu sadhunam. Those who are sadhus, right? One who is a sadhu, what is not tolerable for a sadhu? That means a devotee can tolerate any amount of pain. There is no pain in the entire creation which a sadhu cannot bear. For the sake of pleasing Krishna, he can take on any amount of pain. Vidusham kim apekshitam. Vidushi means a learned person, right? Apekshitam means expectation, right? So a learned person has no expectation from anyone, or he has no dependence on anyone. Apekshitam. Vidusham kim apekshitam. Ah, Vidusham kim apekshitam. Kim akaryam kadaryanam. Kadaryanam means like the most wretched person, right? The lowest person. On one hand, a learned person, he will never, he won't expect anything from anyone. Such a wonderful quality. He will, that means selfless. He's completely selfless, right? He won't depend on anyone for anything. Or you can say he's completely dependent upon the Supreme Lord. So he does not, therefore he can tell the truth anywhere. A learned person, because see, when do you flatter another person? When do you, even if it is true, you know, because you have the fear that, you know, this person, if this person is displeased with me, then that relationship will be spoiled. And if the relationship is spoiled, then whatever I'm expecting, I won't get, whether it is uh, emotionally, or, you know, just that person's friendship or whatever, or a rich person, right? The favors that the person does. So you have to flatter. So therefore, you're not free to speak the truth. But a learned person has nothing to expect from anyone. He has nothing. What does a learned person expect from anyone, right? So sadhu, what is it that a sadhu cannot tolerate? A learned person, what is it that he expects from anyone? That means he does not expect anything from anyone. That's what it means, right? What can a learned person expect from anyone? He won't expect anything. And on the contrary, what can a sinful person, what, like, he doesn't even think when he has to commit the most abominable activity. That means he can stoop to any level. He can stoop to the lowest level to get his things, whatever, you know, out of selfishness, whatever he wants, in order to get it, he can go down to any level, a sinful person or the lowest person. So then what is the whole point that is being made in this verse? Kim dussaham nu sadhunam vidusham kim apekshitam kim akaryam. Akaryam means that which should not be done. Kadaryanam, that which should not be done. These Kadaryanam means these sinful people or lowest people. Is there anything, any abominable activity which he will not do? No, there is none. He will do any abominable activity. The most, he won't even think. The most abominable activity also he can do if he is sinful. So who is that here? Kamsa, right? He can kill. And who is the sadhu here? Vasudev. He is even tolerating the pain of uh, giving his firstborn child to be slaughtered. Why? For the sake of serving the Supreme Lord, for pleasing the Supreme Lord. He can bear any amount of pain. So this is talking about Vasudev. And Vidusham kim apekshitam. Now has he to expect anything from Kamsa? No, because a devotee's dependence is on the Supreme Lord only. He doesn't depend on anyone else's mercy. He doesn't depend on anyone's mercy. Again, this Vidusham kim apekshitam is also talking about Vasudev only. Vasudev only. He is tolerating that pain and he has nothing to ask from Kamsa. And talking about Kamsa, Kim Akaryam Kadaryanam, what kind of simple, I mean, any person who sees such an honesty, right? Someone coming and offering, even the most wretched person's heart would melt. My God, what kind of a person he is, right? And he would not kill. But someone who's sinful, he can do any, he doesn't care for anything. He can do any sinful activity. So, Akaryam Kim Kadaryanam. Those who are sinful, what kind of, they won't think about any abominable activity. Dustyajam Kim Dhritatmanam. Dustyajam, Dustyajam means that which is most difficult to give up. But Dhrita Atma, Dhrita Atma means, here it's translated, people who are self-realized. Right? What can they not renounce? Those who are self-realized, what can they not renounce? Again, this is also talking about Vasudev. Vasudev is on Vasudev platform. Vasudev platform means Shuddha Sattva platform. Right? So, those who are self-realized, what can they not sacrifice? What can they not renounce? They can renounce anything. They don't care. Even they can renounce their own sons, which is impossible for ordinary people or conditioned souls. But a self-realized person, what can he? So these three, 1, 2, and 4 are talking about Vasudev, right? This Sadhunam is about Vasudev. Vidusham is also Vasudev. And Dhritatmanam is also Vasudev. And this Kadaryanam is talking about Kamsa. What is painful for saintly persons who strictly adhere to the truth? How could there not be independence for pure devotees who know the Supreme Lord as the substance? What deeds are forbidden for persons of the lowest character? And what cannot be given up for the sake of Lord Krishna by those who are fully surrendered at his lotus feet? Now, since the eighth son of Devaki was to kill Kamsa, why Vasudeva is giving all 8 sons? He can give only one. What is the need that he has to give the first one? Well, in this case, why? That is another question. Why he promised to give all 8 is another question. But here, it's the 8th child that's going to kill. Why he's giving the first one? He can just give the 8th one. The simple answer is he promised to give all 8. So he cannot go back on his word. That's the thing. But why he promised to give all 8? One thing is to, of course, he's being very liberal. So Kamsa will agree. He will find this offer very, appealing. That, he's giving all, so I don't have any fear. Then he will save Devaki. He will let go of Devaki. And Vasudev will save Devaki's life. But also, as I said, Vasudev was very eager for Krishna's appearance. Unless the first ones are killed, how the 8th one will come, right? So that's also there. Okay. So the point is the answer. So why Vasudeva gave first one? The answer is that Vasudeva had promised Kamsa that he would deliver all the children born of Devaki. Kamsa, being an asura, did not believe that the eighth child would kill him. He took it for granted that he might be killed by anyone. Yeah, so this is actually said by Narad Muni. You're right. And but that happened later on because first Kamsa returned. No, he didn't accept the first one. When first Vasudev came first, he said, "Oh, it's the eighth child. You can take it back." But then when Narad Muni says anyone can be number 8, if you take a lotus which has 8 petals, can you point out and say this is 8 or that? Wherever you start counting, you can start from any petal, and whenever it stops on 8, that is the 8th child. So these demigods are very tricky, right? The demigods are appearing. Did you hear that? That the demigods are appearing in the Yaduvamsa. The demigods are very tricky, so they can come in any order. So you don't know. Oh, okay, like that. So that happened later. Huh? That was afterwards. That was after Krishna's appearance. Then Kamsa's friends said, "You should kill all the babies." Yeah, but here about the first child, because he didn't even arrest Devaki and Vasudeva, he just let go. We'll read that. It's coming. So Kamsa, being an asura, did not believe that the eighth child would kill him. He took it for granted that he might be killed by any of the children of Devaki. Vasudeva, therefore, to save Devaki, promised to give Kamsa every child, whether male or female. Okay, so from another angle, that means this is Vasudev's calculation. Not that Kamsa thought like that, but in future he was going to think like that, isn't it? So Vasudeva, understanding Kamsa's mind, just to clear all doubts from Kamsa's mind, he offered all 8. Because Kamsa, being a demon, can think if Vasudeva had only promised 8th child, Kamsa may think, but that can also be 8, middle also can be 8. Who knows? So he will have doubts, and then he may say, "No, I want to kill Devaki." So that's why, to remove all doubts from Kamsa's mind, Vasudeva said, "I'll give you all 8. So you can count from anywhere, whichever is 8, 1 or 2, 3, 4, whatever. I'm giving you not just 8. He didn't know at that time how many he would have, but he said, "I'll give you all my children. You can take all my children," like that. So why Vasudeva promised all 8? Because Kamsa may think, being an asura, he may not believe that is so. It's only the 8th anyone can kill. So just to remove all doubts from Kamsa's mind, Vasudeva said, "I'll give you all 8." Okay. But why he was giving all 8? To save Devaki. The main Vasudeva's purpose is to save Devaki's life. Now, from another point of view, Vasudeva and Devaki were very pleased when they understood. So this is another explanation. Both were very pleased that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, would come as their 8th son. Vasudeva, a pure devotee of Lord, was eager to see Krishna appear as his child. So this was explained, right? He was very eager to see Krishna come, and he wanted to see Krishna as his 8th child from the 8th pregnancy of Devaki. Therefore, he wanted to deliver all the children quickly so that the 8th turn would come and Krishna would appear. He begot one child each year so that Krishna's turn to appear would come as soon as possible. So these are the 2 reasons discussed. Why?
Okay, go ahead, complete, then I'll tell.
Yeah, why Vasudev promised to give all 8 sons. So one reason is that Kamsa is Asura, he may not believe that only 8 would kill. So to clear all doubts, he promised to give all 8. Second reason is he was very eager to see Krishna appear as his son. So for that, he offered all 8 and one after another, and he would give. Now he's getting closer and closer to the 8th child. Yes, Mati.
Mataji, first, second, and the fourth you said applies for Vasudeva and third is for
1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, and 4 apply to Vasudeva. 3 applies to Kamsa.
Yeah. So I was actually thinking the 3 is also for Vasudeva. The reason I was thinking that way is A devotee will do anything for Krishna, right? Even a devotee is willing to take sinful reaction, is willing to do anything for Krishna if Krishna wants. So
No,
even
but the word they used is kadaryanam. Kadaryanam means those who are the lowest, lowborn, lowest people. So, kim akaryam kadaryanam. What kind of abominable activity will a low class person not do? That's the statement. So,
yes,
devotee, why a devotee will be called a low class person?
of course. No, I'm saying, of course, what you are saying is correct. But why I was thinking, even the low class person's work a devotee will do if Krishna wants them to do.
No, but here low class work can be, you may think doing a bhangi's job is low class, and that work a devotee won't mind. But you think a devotee will go around raping women,
No, no,
right?
no,
Molesting children. Will he do that? He will
no,
never
no.
do that. So that's what we are talking about.
Even Krishna will not say ask them to do that. But that's what
But
I'm.
this
Yeah,
Kadaryanam will not even think twice to do such sinful activities. That's the point.
yeah. I was
Devotees will not do that.
I was thinking in different
Yeah.
angle. If Krishna says,
I got
they
your
will.
point. I got your point. But Prabhupada also says, why Krishna will ask? Some devotee actually asked Srila Prabhupada. Exactly the same thing. One devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, but what if Krishna wants a devotee to do sinful activity, if Krishna wants a devotee to steal, then the devotee will do. So Prabhupada says, but why Krishna will ask his devotee to do such sinful activities? Why? What is the need? Krishna won't ask. So the devotee has no need to do such like abominable activities.
Not those, yes. But then
Right.
Krishna also tests, like, let me see how, like Prabhupada's story, which we know that he was also asking that, okay, in a train, that make some rice for me. I wish to eat some rice. Uh,
Okay.
so, you know the pastime, right? We discussed, right?
Yeah.
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 So similarly, Krishna also in a trying situation asks. I'm not saying about sinful thing. That's
Ah,
why.
but here the point is sinful only. So
Yeah.
then it won't match. Your example will not match in this situation.
Yes. No. Sinful means the giving the dust. That one I'm saying. Of the.
Giving test he will do, but he won't ask you to do sinful activity. He will give you a difficult task, which may seem to be impossible for you. It's beyond your capacity. That he may do, or it seems to you like it's beyond your capacity, and then still you will just, even though you don't see you're capable of doing, it's far just like you are asked to lift of uh, 1,000 1 ton pounds weight or something which you're not able to do. Maybe Krishna will give you such a task, and still, although you don't have the capacity, you will try to do that. He can do, but he will never ask his devotee to do sinful activities. So there is no need, there is no excuse for a devotee to say, I am doing sinful activities for Krishna's sake. Krishna will never ask his devotees to do sinful activities.
Yes.
So, what sinful activity will a devotee not do for Krishna? Such a statement is not there.
Yeah, of course not. But a smaller sinful like that stealing you are saying, a devotee might steal for Krishna, no? Shouldn't be.
Like
Doesn't need to.
flowers, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but that's not like, it's not like the lowest, right? So here it's like superlative degree. What is there any sinful activity that a devotee will not do for Krishna? That's the question, right? Yes, you probably. I mean, first of all, as you also said, Krishna will never ask his devotee to do such low grade, sinful activities. He will never ask, nor will a devotee ever do. But this here, the statement is there any sinful activity which a devotee will not do? Can you say something like that? Is there any sinful activity which a devotee will not do for Krishna? No. You can say, is there any difficult task which a devotee will not do for Krishna? Yes. He can go to any extent, any difficult task, impossible task he can do. Like that, of course, that sparrow was not doing it for Krishna, like trying to dry up the ocean. But a devotee can even attempt such a task, drying up the ocean for the sake of Krishna. He can attempt. The impossible he can attempt. But can you say that he will do any sinful activity for Krishna? Why? First of all, Krishna, they're just opposites, right? Krishna is the one who's giving dharma. Why he will ask his devotees to do sinful activities? No. But some cases, sometimes devotees steal flowers, right? Because and that also, it's not that Krishna is telling them to do, actually, but sometimes they do. Uh, then they may say, "Well, yes, Rasagri." What if Krishna himself tells his devotee, like Jagannath's story? One devotee, Krishna said, "Let's go and steal jackfruits." So
So that's not. I understand your point, Mataji. It's not most abominable. Just
right,
for testing, little pastime, Krishna
yeah,
might. But my point was for those sins, and not for those, like
yeah.
abominable.
Yeah,
That
if Krishna says, then they will do anything. Yeah, like Krishna told Yudhishthir Maharaj to lie, right? Then for Arjun, it was no problem. Bhim said no problem. He went yelling, "I killed Ashwatthama, I killed." Bhim said had no problem. Why? Because Krishna said. He said that, no problem.
But yes,
Yeah.
so my point was, because I thought of this, that like devotees can go to any extent for fulfilling what Krishna wants. Krishna also goes beyond his things to do for devotees. Like, that's why he became Kirchor Gopinath. That's why, because he also stole for his devotee. He also,
But you
done.
will see in Krishna's doing such things or his devotees doing such things, there is only Ananda. Nobody is harmed by that pastime, you will see, right?
Correct, correct.
So that also has to be counted. You may say stealing is a sin, you may say lying is a sin, but by that lie and by that stealing, nobody is harmed. Rather, it gives so much pleasure to the devotees and to the Lord, right?
Yes,
So, yeah, they're on the
like,
transcendental platform, they're not on the material platform. So, they're untouched by sin, those activities.
yes, and those are. I mean, I just remembered the sins, not that abominable as you were saying, raping, killing, all those things. But Krishna will make devotees do such things, and Krishna also does those things for devotees, just to have those sweet pastimes and make us.
Yeah, exceptional, very rarely, right?
Course.
Not in general, not
No,
in
no, not
general.
at all. For pure devotees, just for pastimes, I'm saying.
Ah, so we have like one example here and maybe one there, but in general, for everyone, just follow dharma and follow that which
Of
is
course, like
right.
Krishna is
And
also becoming a chariot driver, so
yeah,
that is also against dharma. But he is doing, because he is a king. He is not supposed to be doing that job.
no,
But
no, that's not against dharma actually. Even what's his name? Shalya. Shalya is also a great warrior, but he became a chariot driver for Karna, and it is not against dharma becoming a chariot driver. So that's fine. Otherwise, how Arjun would ask Krishna, "You become my chariot driver?" If it were against dharma, right? How he would ask? They actually learn when Kshatriyas, when they, because in emergency they have to do, right? So they learn all these arts also. Yeah,
okay, but
although
anyways,
that's not their profession, it's not
yeah.
like that's what they do, like chariot drivers, it's their profession, but they learn this also, like, and Shalya was a very expert chariot driver. So Karna's calculation was, on the other side Arjun has Krishna, so I need someone who's like Krishna in chariot driving, a very good chariot driver. So he chose Shalya, so like that. So yeah, it's not against that.
Yes, I can go extend this with with my pastimes for Krishna. But
Yeah,
yes, I got my point. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
sure. Hare Krishna. All right. So I think we're also running out of time. Let's stop Bhagavatam reading here. We'll continue tomorrow. Let's read Bhagavad Gita and Lilamrita. So Krishna Shish read today, right? Madhava will begin tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam, we finished. Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, text 30. Please repeat. Dehi nityam avadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. It's like the concluding statement, right, of all the verses that we read so far, that the soul is immortal, it's imperishable, right, eternal, like that. So he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, like that. It cannot be burned, it cannot be cut, so it can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. That means because you killed someone, it doesn't mean the living being is killed. No. Purport. The Lord now concludes the chapter of instruction on the immutable spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna establishes that the soul is immortal, that means it has no death, and the body is temporary, that means the body has to come to an end at some point. Therefore, Arjun as a Kshatriya should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher, Bhishma and Drona, will die in the battle. On the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body, not that there is no such thing as a soul, or that living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity resulting from the interaction of chemicals. You should not believe that life is appearing from matter. No. Life is that spirit soul. Okay? And that spirit soul or life that is different from the body. Though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged. But at the time of war, it is not discouraged when there is actual need for it. That need must be justified in terms of the sanction of the Lord and not capriciously. So, in a war, violence is allowed, but that war must be justified by Shastra, why you're having that war, right? Otherwise, then you'll be implicated in that karmic reaction. Let's read Srila Prabhupada's Leela Amrita. Srila Prabhupada's Leela Amrita. So we were reading about these three persons, Howard, Keith, and Wally, right? They were visiting Prabhupada, or they decided to visit Prabhupada. Okay, I think we stopped this, right? What Howard said. I had no idea what he was going to offer at his classes, but I knew that all my friends would be glad that an Indian Swami was moving into the neighborhood. Okay. The word spread. Although it wasn't so easy now for Carl Jurgens and certain others to come up from the Bowery and Chinatown, they had other things to do. Roy Dubois, a 25-year-old writer for comic books, had visited Prabhupada on the Bowery, and when he heard about the Swami's new place, he wanted to drop by. James Green and Bill Epstein had not forgotten the Swami, and they wanted to come. The Paradox restaurant was still a live connection and brought new interested people, and others like Stephen Guarino saw the Swami's sign in the window. Steve, age 26, was a caseworker for the city's welfare department, and one day on his lunch break, as he was walking home from the welfare office at 5th Street and 2nd Avenue, he saw the Swami's sign taped to the window. You know who is Steve? Satswarup Maharaj. He had been reading a paperback Gita, and he promised himself he would attend the Swami's class. That day, as he stood with the Swami before the storefront, Howard had also noticed the little sign in the window, Lectures in Bhagavad Gita, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Will you bring your friends? Prabhupada had asked. Yes, Howard promised. Monday evening. The summer evening was warm, and in the storefront, the back windows and front door were opened wide. Young men, several of them dressed in black denims and button-down sports shirts with broad, dull stripes, had left their worn sneakers by the front door and were now sitting on the floor. Most of them were from the Lower East Side. No one had had to go to great trouble to come here. The little room was barren. No pictures, no furniture, no rug, not even a chair. Only a few plain straw mats. A single bulb hung from the ceiling into the center of the room. It was 7 o'clock, and about a dozen people had gathered when the Swami suddenly opened the side door and entered the room. He wasn't wearing a shirt, and the saffron cloth that draped his torso left his arms and some of his chest bare, like a sannyasi's. His complexion was smooth golden brown, and as they watched him, his head shaven, his ears long lobed, and his aspect grave, he seemed like pictures they'd seen of the Buddha in meditation. He was old, yet erect in his posture, fresh and radiant. His forehead was decorated with the yellowish clay markings of the Vaishnavas. Prabhupada recognized big bearded Howard and smiled. You have brought your friends? Yes, Howard answered in his loud, resonant voice. Ah, very good. Prabhupada stepped out of his white shoes, sat down on a thin mat, faced his congregation, and indicated they could all be seated. He distributed several pairs of brass hand cymbals and briefly demonstrated the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. He began playing, a startling, ringing sound. He began singing, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now it was the audience's turn. Chant, he told them. Some already knew. Gradually the others caught on, and after a few rounds, all were chanting together. Most of these young men and the few young women present had at one time or another embarked on the psychedelic voyage in search of a new world of expanded consciousness. Boldly and recklessly, they had entered the turbulent, forbidden waters of LSD, peyote, and magic mushrooms. Heedless of warnings, they had risked everything and done it. Yet there was merit in their valor. Their eagerness to find the extra dimensions of the self, to get beyond ordinary existence, even if they didn't know what the beyond was or whether they would ever return to the comfort of the ordinary. Nonetheless, whatever truths they had found, they remained unfulfilled, and whatever worlds they had reached, These young psychedelic voyagers had always returned to the lower east side. Now they were sampling the Hare Krishna mantra. When the kirtan suddenly sprang up from the Swami's cymbals and sonorous voice, they immediately felt that it was going to be something far out. Here was another chance to trip out, and willingly they began to flow with it. They would surrender their minds and explore the limits of the chanting for all it was worth. Most of them had already associated the mantra with the mystical Upanishads and Gita, which had called out to them in words of mystery, eternal spirit, negating illusion. But whatever it is, this Indian mantra, let it come, they thought. Let its waves carry us far and high. Let's take it and let the effects come. Whatever the price, let it come. The chanting seemed simple and natural enough. It was sweet and wasn't going to harm anyone. It was, in its own way, far out. As Prabhupada chanted in his own inner ecstasy, he observed his motley congregation. He was breaking ground in a new land now. As the hand cymbals rang, the call and response of the Hare Krishna mantra swelled, filling the evening. Some neighbors were annoyed. Puerto Rican children, enchanted, appeared at the door and window, looking. Twilight came. Exotic it was, yet anyone could see that a Swami was raising an ancient prayer in praise of God. This wasn't rock or jazz. He was a holy man, a Swami, making a public religious demonstration. But the combination was strange. An old Indian Swami chanting an ancient mantra with a storefront full of young American hippies singing along. Prabhupada sang on, his shaven head held high and tilted, his body trembling slightly with emotion. Confidently, he led the mantra, absorbed in pure devotion, and they responded. More passers-by were drawn to the front window and open door. Some jeered, but the chanting was too strong. Within the sound of the kirtan, even the car horns were a faint staccato. The vibration of auto engines and the rumble of trucks continued, but in the distance now, unnoticed. Gathered under the dim electric light in the bare room, the group chanted after their leader, growing gradually from a feeble, hesitant chorus to an approximate harmony of voices. They continued clapping and chanting, putting into it whatever they could in hopes of discovering its secrets. This Swami was not simply giving some 5 minute sample demonstration. For the moment, he was their leader, their guide in an unknown realm. Howard and Keith's little encounter with a kirtan in Calcutta had left them outsiders. The chanting had never before come like this, right in the middle of the Lower East Side, with a genuine Swami leading them. In their minds were psychedelic ambitions to see the face of God, fantasies and visions of Hindu teachings, and the presumption that it was all impersonal light. Prabhupada had encountered a similar group on the Bowery, and he knew this group wasn't experiencing the mantra in the proper disciplined reverence and knowledge, but he let them chant in their own way. In time, their submission to the spiritual sound, their purification, and their enlightenment and ecstasy in chanting and hearing Hare Krishna would come. He stopped the kirtan. The chanting had swept back the world, but now the Lower East Side rushed in again. The children at the door began to chatter and laugh. Cars and trucks made their rumblings heard once more, and a voice shouted from a nearby apartment, demanding quiet. It was now past 7:30. Half an hour had elapsed. We will continue the rest tomorrow. Thank you, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. All of you have a wonderful day in Krishna consciousness. Happy Saturday.
Mataji, they
Hare
should make movie
even more detailed, like how, like they say, in movies we see part 1, part 2, part 3, like that. They should keep releasing exactly like how it's explained in Lilamrit. It's very easy nowadays. They're having all these people.
Maybe now the next generation should do that. The children,
Should, yeah.
right, with their animation skills and all,
Yes. Yeah.
should make
Exactly.
Lilamrita. Yes.
So we'll have like how books, a series of books, series of movies,
Episodes. Yeah.
episodes. That way they see all this in the, like, younger generation. They see Netflix, all this other stuff, but this should be there. Then they know the real life.
Yeah. Yes. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Mataji,
Hare Krishna.
Mataji,
Yes.
don't forget to share with me that Brahman, six
6
type of
Brahmans.
Brahman.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that is one thing. Another, sorry, I'm giving you work. I should be working for you. But another thing, I am not yet. Of course, I understood what I heard from you yesterday about the Paramatma feature, but I want more explanation on that. So, because I was under the impression that Paramatma and Super Soul resides in the heart region. So when
Paramatma,
Paramatma,
super soul. Paramatma is super soul.
no, I
You mean
mean,
the soul and
sorry,
super soul?
I mean Paramatma and soul resides in the heart region, and when Paramatma leaves, Super Soul leaves, because Super Soul cannot stay when Paramatma is not there, and therefore the body dies because the Paramatma and Super Soul leaves. That's what I heard.
Why Paramatma will leave? What is the reason?
Paramatma leaves because the body is deteriorate or whatever, the sickness, or it's time for the person to transmigrate, or whatever may be the reason. But Paramatma leaves, and that's why the super soul leaves. I heard, maybe I am wrong. Of course, I am
Yeah,
wrong.
I
But
didn't hear that, so I don't know. I cannot say about that. That because the Paramatma, okay, and if Paramatma is leaving, then why Paramatma is leaving? I'm not sure about that.
now I am now confused, that because you are saying that of course you are right that he is in every atom, but then if he is in every atom, then how someone dies? Because then the dead body should be alive too, because Paramatma is there. But
No,
Paramatma
he's
is
in
there.
every.
Paramatma is there. Is when it is Pradhan form, is Paramatma there? No, right? Then with the glance of Vishnu, then only it gets agitated, and then Paramatma enters. No? Am I
Yeah,
not
well, then
correct?
before the Lord's glance, none of these things are also there. There's no earth, water, fire, air, ether, nothing is there.
Yes.
Yeah, so nothing is there.
No,
When the
when
Lord
Paramatma,
glances,
when Lord glances to agitate it, but Lord enters and then these things comes into existence. No? Am I not right?
yes, so the Lord enters. So it is there, but when the Lord glances, then it is put into, so the
Agitated.
ingredients are formed. Agitated means the ingredients are formed in sequence, one after another. So the ingredients are
Okay.
there in the form now, right? After the Lord's glance, and with the glance comes the time factor, then the three
Correct.
modes are now out of equilibrium. So there is agitation, and then by the Lord's glance, which is his potency, and the time factor, now one after another. First Mahat is produced, then false ego in goodness, passion, ignorance, then senses, sense objects, gross elements, mind, intelligence, demigods like this, everyone one up. So they're all there. Now using this, the universal shell is formed, and inside the shell these ingredients are there like that. Now the Lord enters the universe again as Paramatma of that universe, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Then by his entering, now using these ingredients, this Virata Purusha, right, consisting the material form, the material universe, It is formed using all these ingredients. Now, the Paramatma is there or not? Yes, Paramatma is there. Who is Paramatma? Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the Paramatma for the universe. And because Paramatma is there, now the body is formed. What is that body? Virata Purusha is formed. Now, within the Virata Purusha also, again, the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu expands as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is Paramatma in each and every atom within this entire universe. So there is just like for us in this body, in the heart region, there is Paramatma for this body. So just to give an example, I'm saying like that in this universe, in the heart, there is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. But again, there is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu in the entire universe, in every atom and interatomic space. That same Lord, is he different? He's the same. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu himself is expanding as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu and is there in every atom. So there is Paramatma in our body, but there's also Paramatma in every atom of this body and outside this body. Everywhere there is Paramatma.
So in this explanation, that means when a person dies, the Paramatma, who is like Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, not the Shirodakshaya Vishnu, he goes away.
Yeah, he accompanies the spirit soul. He goes with the spirit soul, or when is the need for Paramatma? Like basically what is happening to the spirit soul, it depends. If the spirit soul, after giving up this body, is going to take another body, right? So at that time Paramatma is there with the spirit soul after taking that body. Or if there is annihilation of the universe, the living entity is in rest, then he is there inside Paramatma resting in a dormant state.
Mataji,
So,
isn't that Kshirodakshaya Vishnu?
Garbhodakshaya Vishnu.
With the soul, spirit
Garbhodakshaya
soul?
Vishnu. So partial annihilation means everyone enters into Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma enters into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and that there he is resting. And then again next day morning he will wake up, and then when he wakes up, all these living entities once again, they are also, Brahma gives them all bodies according to their karma. He will give them bodies. So now they have bodies means then again there is Paramatma with them. But when they are resting, it's not like there is each living entity has one Paramatma with them. It's not like that. They're already in Paramatma, in Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And the Paramatma that is accompanying them in the heart is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So then where is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu? You can ask. Who was there with the living entity in the heart? What happened to him? See, we may not calculate Paramatma's position like the Jiva, living entity. The living entity is only there in this body. He is not there in every body. Paramatma is there in every body and in every atom. But I am not saying that Paramatma who is in my heart is Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. That is also Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and Paramatma who is there in every atom is also Kshirodakshaya Vishnu in our case, individually. Universe, for the whole universe, the Paramatma who is there, that is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. But individually, Paramatma in my heart and Paramatma in every atom is the same, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. But the difference is, as Paramatma in my heart, he is reciprocating with me at that time. While I am in this body, he is reciprocating with me. He is the same person. It's not like my Paramatma is my Paramatma and your Paramatma is your Paramatma. It's the same Paramatma. That is his beauty. That is his greatness. He is the same person, and he can also, inspire from within your heart to do something good to me. So he's there in you, he's there in me, and he's aware of everyone at the same time simultaneously. Not that the one in your heart is aware of you, the one in my heart is aware of me. No, it's the same person. He's the same person who's there in every living entity's heart, and he's the same person who's there in every atom. So now your point is, so if he's there in every atom, then every atom should be alive and conscious. Like, no. So, according to need, he will reciprocate according to need in your heart. Now you are there. So, what is the role of Paramatma in the heart? The role of Paramatma is Upadrishta, that means he's a witness. Anumanta means he's the one who's sanctioning, right? The fulfillment of your desires. Unless he sanctions, you cannot get it. So for that, he is reciprocating with you. Reciprocating with you means not exactly loving devotion. That's not the point. Because Paramatma acts for every living entity, even for atheists and sinners. He's there. So it's not exactly like loving reciprocation, although ultimately it is why the Lord has to follow every living entity. That is his love only. But still, he is there even in the hearts of atheists. And there he is dealing with an atheist and is dealing with a pure devotee. We cannot say it's the same. So in the case of pure devotee, it's not Paramatma, it's Bhagavan who is reciprocating with him. But Paramatma's role is based on your karma, he will sanction and he is the witness of all your activities. And as a witness, your next body is decided. This is what you did, and the witness of this is Paramatma, and the same Paramatma was there in previous body. He'll also be there in the next body, so he knows. When I say same Paramatma, there's only one Paramatma for everyone, right? So Paramatma means Paramatma, Kshiradakshai Vishnu. He knows whether he's there in every atom or he's there in my heart or your heart. He knows everything about everyone. But although he's there for everyone, we may not think that he's there sitting there up in the clouds in the sky. From there, he's watching everyone. That also is there. He's there in the Shvetadvip, right? He's there like that also. But the beauty is he's there individually in each person's heart also. But even though he's there in individual, he's the same person. So when I leave, what happens to Paramatma? Paramatma is still there. He is conscious of you also. But when you have left this body, you're not doing any activity, or maybe you're in a dormant state. So at that time, there is no need of Paramatma to witness your activity, to sanction your activity. But as soon as you get another body, then when there is activity, Paramatma is there. But does that mean at that time when you are resting, Paramatma? No, Paramatma is there at all times with you. But there is no need of that activity, of that reciprocation. He's there. He's there everywhere as Paramatma. But he's doing his role as like those two birds, right? One eating bird, one witnessing bird. When will he witness? He will witness when you're acting. When you're dormant and in a state, what is the need for the Lord to sit and witness you? Sleeping. He is actually witnessing your activities. So your activities happen when you have a body. So when you have a body, either subtle or gross body, when you have a body, when you're doing some activities, my mental activities also, he's a witness of all your activities. And then you'll get your next body. So what happens to Paramatma? The problem is we are putting him, we are trying to understand his position according to our position. But his position is different from our position, right? So when I leave this place, I'm not here anymore. And I think about Paramatma also like myself. So when he leaves here, then where is he going from here? He's there everywhere. He's here also, there also, everywhere. But I am not here
I have to
anymore.
leave now, Mataji. I have to leave now. I'll stop. I'll listen to the recording.
Okay. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we will end here. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can you
Yeah.
please post the Brahman thing and in the group?
Group. Okay, I'll do that.